The breakthrough. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the observation deck of the ESV Aurora, her gaze fixed on the phenomenon that had defined humanity's existence for the past century. The veil, as it had come to be known, shimmered at the edge of sensor range, an ethereal iridescent barrier that encircled Sol and its nearest 27 star systems in a perfect sphere. For 100 years, no probe, no ship, no signal had penetrated it, confining humanity to a cosmic prison just 30 light-years in diameter. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Nathaniel Chen moved to stand beside her, his weathered face illuminated by the distant shimmer. Hard to believe something so enchanting has kept us caged for so long. Ilara nodded, her expression remaining stoic. Beauty and prison bars aren't mutually exclusive, Doctor. She turned to face him. Tell me your theory again. Tell me why this time will be different. For decades, humanity had tried everything to breach the veil. Nuclear detonations, gravitational distortion fields, quantum tunneling. Every attempt had failed, and after each failure, the veil seemed to grow stronger. Earth's unified government had eventually established research outposts along the boundary, including the Aurora, tasked with studying the phenomenon rather than challenging it. Nathaniel activated a holographic display between them. Every previous attempt treated the veil as a physical barrier, something to be broken through by force. But my analysis suggests it's more like a filter designed to keep in specific quantum signatures, signatures unique to human technology. Ilara studied the complex equations floating in the air. So you believe we can pass through by masking our quantum signature? Not masking, Nathaniel corrected, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Harmonizing. The veil resonates at a specific frequency. If we can match that frequency precisely, I believe we can pass through without resistance, like tuning to a radio station, rather than trying to jam the signal. And the modifications to our experimental shuttle are complete. Nathaniel nodded. The Firefly is ready. All we need is your authorization. Ilara turned back to the viewport, considering the enormity of what they were about to attempt. Her orders were to observe and report, not to take unnecessary risks. But after 3 years commanding the Aurora, watching the veil while humanity remained trapped in an increasingly crowded celestial neighborhood, the temptation to push boundaries had grown overwhelming. If you're wrong, we lose a shuttle and 2 careers, she said finally. If you're right, we change humanity's future forever. She straightened her uniform. Prepare the Firefly. We launch in 6 hours. The experimental shuttle hung in space, its modified hull gleaming as the veil's light played across its surface. Inside, Ilara and Nathaniel ran final checks on the resonance generators that had been installed throughout the small craft. Resonance pattern stable, Nathaniel reported, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Field integrity at 98% and holding. Aurora, this is Commander Voss. Ilara spoke into the comm. We are go for approach. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rivera's voice came back immediately. Acknowledged, Commander. Be advised Earth Command has transmitted orders to stand down. They're citing safety protocols and demanding immediate return to Aurora. Ilara and Nathaniel exchanged glances. News of their attempt had reached Earth faster than expected. Acknowledge receipt of orders, Marcus, Ilara replied. Inform Command that we're proceeding with a limited approach to gather preliminary data. Voss out. She cut the communication before her XO could respond. That buys us maybe 20 minutes before they escalate to the Admiralty, Nathaniel said. Ilara's hands were already moving over the flight controls. Then let's not waste time. Initiating approach vector. The Firefly accelerated toward the veil, its engines purring quietly as the distance closed. At 2 kilometers from the barrier, the shuttle began to vibrate subtly. Resonance field fluctuating, Nathaniel called out, adjusting controls frantically. The veil is responding to our approach, shifting its frequency. Can you compensate? Ilara asked, fighting to keep the shuttle on course as the vibrations intensified. I'm trying. The pattern is complex. But there's a logic to it. His fingers flew over the controls. Got it. Adjusting resonance pattern to match the harmonic progression. The vibrations suddenly ceased. The firefly's hull hummed with a deep, melodic tone that seemed to surround them, penetrating to their very bones. "We're matching," Nathaniel whispered, awe in his voice. Perfect resonance achieved. 1 kilometer, 500 meters, 100 meters. The veil loomed before them, no longer a distant shimmer, but an impossibly complex web of energy, patterns within patterns, mathematics made visible. "Forward momentum steady," Ilara reported, her voice tight with concentration. "Contact in 5, 4, 3, 2. The firefly touched the veil. For one breathless moment, nothing happened. Then, like a soap bubble admitting a carefully inserted probe, the barrier parted. There was no resistance, no turbulence, only a brief flash of light as the shuttle slipped through to the other side. "We did it," Nathaniel breathed, staring at the sensor readings. "We're through the veil." Ilara couldn't respond immediately. Her attention was fixed on the vista before them. On the veil side, stars had been visible but oddly distorted, their light warped by the barrier's effects. Now, beyond the veil, the universe opened up in all its glory. Countless stars stretched to infinity, no longer obscured or altered. But it wasn't just the stars that captured their attention. Directly ahead, perhaps 2 light hours distant, a massive structure orbited a red dwarf star. It was clearly artificial. A ring-shaped station of immense proportions, at least 20 kilometers in diameter. "Are you seeing this?" Ilara asked, activating the shuttle's most sensitive scanners. "Energy readings are off the scale," Nathaniel confirmed. "That structure is powered by something beyond our current understanding of physics." He looked up from his console, face pale. "Ilara, it's broadcasting. A signal directed at the veil. No, through the veil. I think it's been sending a signal into our contained space for decades, maybe centuries. Can you decode it? It's not encrypted, just complex." His brow furrowed in concentration. "It appears to be a navigation beacon and something else. A countdown." "A countdown to what?" Before Nathaniel could answer, a new alert sounded. The veil behind them was changing, its pattern shifting, becoming more transparent. "The veil is destabilizing," Nathaniel reported, his voice rising with excitement. "Not just here, but everywhere. The entire structure is coming down." Ilara activated the comm system. "Aurora, this is Firefly. The veil is collapsing. Repeat, the veil is collapsing. We've breached to the other side and discovered an artificial structure that appears to be controlling the barrier." Marcus's voice came back, broken with static. "Commander, we're confirming. Veil destabilization across all sectors. Earth Command is emergency session. What are your orders?" Ilara looked at Nathaniel, then at the mysterious station ahead. "Inform Earth Command that we're proceeding to investigate the structure. The veil appears to be artificial, possibly a containment system. We need to understand who built it and why." "That's against direct orders, Commander. Note my decision in the log, XO. Humanity has been contained long enough. It's time we learned why." She ended the transmission and turned to Nathaniel. "Plot a course to that station. Let's find out who's been keeping us in a fishbowl." As the Firefly approached the massive ring station, its sensors detected no defense systems, no attempt to warn them away. It hung in space, silent and seemingly abandoned, yet clearly operational given the energy readings. "I'm detecting an atmosphere inside," Nathaniel reported. "Surprisingly, it's compatible with our physiology: oxygen, nitrogen, trace elements within human tolerance." "Convenient," Ilara noted skeptically, "almost as if it was designed with us in mind." They located what appeared to be a docking bay and carefully maneuvered the Firefly inside. The bay pressurized automatically as they landed, confirming that automated systems were still functioning. "We should wait for a properly equipped team," Nathaniel suggested, even as he prepared his portable scanner. This could be dangerous. Ilara was already checking her sidearm. The veil is coming down, Doctor. Earth will be scrambling to understand what's happening. We have perhaps hours before this place is swarming with military vessels. I intend to have answers before then. They donned lightweight environmental suits as a precaution and exited the Firefly. The station's interior was illuminated by soft, ambient light that activated as they moved forward. The architecture was elegant but alien. Flowing lines and graceful curves formed corridors and chambers that seemed to guide them deeper into the structure. These markings, Nathaniel said, studying symbols etched into the walls. They're not random. It's a language, but unlike any I've ever seen. They followed the corridors until they reached what appeared to be a central control room. A circular platform dominated the center, surrounded by control stations with interfaces that somehow seemed designed for humanoid hands despite their alien origin. Nathaniel approached one of the stations cautiously. These systems are still active. I might be able to interface with them. He removed a portable computer from his pack and searched for a connection point. As he worked, Ilara explored the chamber, studying the alien technology. Who built this place? And why create the veil to contain us? Protection, came a voice from behind them. Ilara spun, weapon raised, to find herself facing a holographic figure that had appeared on the central platform. It was humanoid, but clearly not human. Tall and slender with 4 arms and skin that shimmered with bioluminescence. Its features were delicate, almost ethereal. You need not fear, the figure continued, its voice melodious and perfectly understandable despite its alien origin. This is merely a recorded message, activated by your presence. I am. It made a sound no human throat could produce. But you may call me the architect of our prison, Ilara said, not lowering her weapon despite knowing it was useless against a hologram. The figure's expression shifted in what might have been sadness. Not a prison, Commander Voss. A nursery. Ilara startled at the use of her name. How do you? Your language, your identities, your history. We have monitored all of it. The veil was permeable to information, just not physical objects. We know everything about your species. Who is we? Nathaniel asked, abandoning his attempt to interface with the station's systems. The coalition of elder races, the hologram replied. Those who achieved interstellar travel millions of years before your species began walking upright. The figure gestured, and the room transformed around them, showing a galaxy teeming with points of light, each representing an inhabited world or station. 100 years ago, by your reckoning, our deep space arrays detected your early attempts at faster-than-light travel. Your Einstein-Rosen bridge experiments were crude but effective, and extremely dangerous. You were on the verge of accidentally creating a rupture in space-time that could have destroyed your entire solar system. The hologram showed an image of early human experiments with wormhole technology, attempts that Earth's historical records claimed had failed. The veil was established as an emergency measure, a containment field to prevent catastrophic damage while giving your species time to develop more refined methods of faster-than-light travel. You're saying you trapped us for our own good? Ilara asked incredulously. Precisely. And it worked. Your most recent FTL theories, the ones that led to your resonance approach to the veil, are elegant and safe. You've solved the problems that would have destroyed you. The hologram smiled. The countdown your colleague detected was the time remaining until the veil would have been automatically deactivated. You simply managed to accelerate the process by demonstrating your readiness ahead of schedule. Nathaniel looked stunned. You're telling us the veil was temporary. A test. All emerging species face similar challenges, the architect explained. Some require guidance, others achieve breakthroughs on their own. Humanity has proven remarkably resilient and innovative. Ilara finally lowered her weapon, processing this revelation. So what happens now? The hologram expanded, showing the galaxy again, but this time with a bright point of light where Earth's region of space would be. Now, Commander Voss, humanity takes its place among the stars. The Coalition awaits your full emergence with great interest. This station will serve as your introduction to galactic society. And if we're not interested in joining your coalition, Ilara challenged. The hologram's expression was unreadable. That, Commander, is entirely your choice. But isolation is rarely beneficial in the long term. The universe contains wonders beyond your imagination, and dangers you cannot yet comprehend. Before Ilara could respond, a new alert sounded from the Firefly. Nathaniel checked his communicator. Multiple vessels have emerged from Earth space. The Aurora, plus 3 military cruisers. They're on an intercept course. Ilara turned back to the hologram. Is there any way to communicate with your coalition directly? We need to prepare Earth for this contact. This station contains all the information your species will need. Star charts, cultural databases, technological guidelines, communication protocols. It is our gift to humanity. The hologram began to fade. Representatives of the coalition will arrive within 1 standard Earth month to formally welcome you. Until then, explore, learn. Prepare your people for a much larger community than they have ever known. As the hologram vanished, Ilara and Nathaniel stood in silence, the enormity of what had just happened settling over them. Humanity's never handled much larger communities particularly well, Nathaniel finally said. Ilara moved to one of the control stations, where symbols were now transforming into recognizable Earth languages. Then we'd better make sure we get it right this time. She activated her communicator. Aurora, this is Commander Voss. Please inform Earth Command that the containment field was created by an advanced alien coalition to protect us, while we developed safer FTL technology. The field is now down permanently, and we have 1 month to prepare for formal first contact. The silence that followed was broken only by Marcus' stunned voice. Commander, please confirm last transmission. Did you say formal first contact? Ilara smiled for the first time since they'd breached the veil. Affirmative, XO. It turns out we've never been alone. We just weren't ready for the neighborhood yet. She looked out through a viewport at the stars beyond. Countless worlds waiting to be discovered, civilizations to be met, knowledge to be gained. The wall is broken, she said softly. Humanity's voyage into the uncharted begins now. First contact. 1 month passed with breathtaking speed. The ring station, now dubbed Threshold by Earth authorities, had become the center of human activity beyond the former veil. Dozens of ships arrived daily, bringing scientists, diplomats, and military personnel to study the alien facility and prepare for the promised contact with the coalition of elder races. Commander Ilara Voss had been promoted to admiral and appointed humanity's interim representative to the coalition, a position she had neither sought nor particularly wanted. She stood in Threshold's newly established diplomatic chamber, watching as technicians installed communication equipment and security systems. We've decoded perhaps 5% of the station's database, Dr. Nathaniel Chen reported, joining her at the viewport. His new title, Chief Xenological Officer, sat as uncomfortably on him as her admiralty did on her. It's like being given the Library of Alexandria and told we have a week to read it. Focus on the immediate priorities, Ilara replied. Communication protocols, cultural taboos, potential threats. That's just it, Nathaniel sighed. The database is comprehensive, but selective. It tells us about thousands of species, their homeworlds, technologies, even their art and literature. But information about military capabilities, political disputes, resource conflicts, that's all conspicuously absent. Ilara frowned. They're showing us the neighborhood at its best, not its reality. Exactly. It's like. He was interrupted by an alert from the station's sensors. Lieutenant Maya Santos, formerly of the Aurora and now Threshold's operations chief, called from her station. Admiral, We're detecting spatial distortions at coordinates 227 by 84. Configuration matches nothing in our database or the Coalition archives we've accessed. Ilara moved quickly to the command center, Nathaniel following. The main display showed a section of space approximately 1 light hour from threshold, where moments before there had been empty vacuum. Now reality itself seemed to fold inward, creating a spiraling tunnel of distorted spacetime. It's some form of FTL arrival, Nathaniel said, studying the readings. But unlike anything we theorized. Alert Earth Command, Ilara ordered. All personnel to standby stations. This may be our welcoming committee. The spatial distortion stabilized into a swirling vortex, and from its center emerged a vessel of breathtaking design. It resembled nothing so much as a massive sea creature, organic curves and flowing lines that pulsed with internal light. Behind it came 2 smaller craft of entirely different design, one a geometric arrangement of crystalline structures, the other a perfect sphere of what appeared to be liquid metal. 3 distinct architectural styles, Nathaniel noted, possibly 3 different species. We're receiving a transmission, Maya reported. It's being broadcast on all frequencies and... She hesitated, checking her readings. Directly into our neural patterns, some kind of advanced telepathic technology. Ilara straightened her uniform. Put it through. The command center's screens flickered, then displayed a chamber aboard the organic-looking vessel. 3 beings stood in a triangular formation, each as different from the others as their ships were. The central figure resembled a humanoid made of living crystal, light pulsing through its transparent body in complex patterns. To its right stood a being composed of what looked like liquid mercury, constantly shifting yet maintaining a generally bipedal form. The third was the most alien, a cloud of luminescent particles that coalesced into an approximation of a face when it spoke. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," the crystal being said, its voice resonating not through the speakers but directly in their minds. "I am Sentinel of the Crystalline Concord. With me are Flux of the Metamorphs and Collective of the Myriad. We come as representatives of the coalition of elder races to formally welcome humanity to the greater galactic community." Ilara stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I am Admiral Ilara Voss. We are honored by your presence and look forward to peaceful relations with the coalition." The Mercury-like being, Flux, rippled in what might have been amusement. "Formalities are unnecessary, Admiral. We have been observing your species for centuries. Your potential is remarkable, though your development has been uneven." There was something in the tone, condescending, almost dismissive, that raised Ilara's hackles. But before she could respond, Nathaniel stepped forward. "If you've been observing us so long," he asked, "why contain us behind the veil?" The architect's message indicated it was for our protection, but there must have been other options. The particle cloud, collective, pulsed with changing colors. The veil served multiple purposes. Protection was one. Observation was another. Assessment was a third. Assessment, Ilara echoed. "All emerging species must be evaluated before full integration into the coalition," Sentinel explained. "The veil provided a controlled environment to monitor your development, your conflicts, your resolutions, to determine whether humanity could be trusted with the knowledge and power that comes with coalition membership." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. "And have we passed this evaluation?" The 3 representatives exchanged what might have been glances before Sentinel responded. "Your evaluation is ongoing, Admiral. The removal of the veil is merely the beginning of a new phase." "I don't understand," Nathaniel said. The architect indicated that by breaching the veil, we had demonstrated our readiness. "Technological readiness," Flux corrected, its mercurial form shimmering. "The ability to develop safe FTL travel is merely a prerequisite. True readiness encompasses much more: ethical development, cultural stability, diplomatic maturity." Collective's particles formed patterns that somehow conveyed concern. "Your species has advanced remarkably in technology, but your social and ethical development lags behind. Your history is marred by conflict, exploitation, and destruction of your own biosphere. We've made mistakes, Ilara acknowledged, feeling defensive despite herself. What species hasn't? We learn from them and strive to do better. A commendable sentiment, Sentinel agreed. But intentions must be matched by actions. Currently, humanity stands at a crossroads. Your response to this contact will determine your path forward. The screen shifted to show Earth and its colonies, then expanded to display dozens of other star systems, all containing habitable worlds or resources that would be valuable to humanity's expansion. The coalition operates on principles of managed growth and shared prosperity, Flux explained. Resources are allocated based on need and responsible usage. Technologies are shared according to ethical readiness. Disputes are resolved through consensus, not conflict. In other words, Ilara said slowly, you want us to play by your rules if we want access to all. This, she gestured to the display of worlds. The rules exist for the benefit of all, Sentinel replied, including humanity. Nathaniel stepped closer to Ilara. Admiral, they're offering us the stars, but with conditions attached. Conditions we haven't agreed to, she murmured back. Then, louder, representatives of the coalition, humanity appreciates your welcome and your guidance over the centuries. But we must insist on sovereignty over our own development. We cannot simply adopt values and systems imposed from outside, no matter how benevolent the intention. The three representatives seemed to confer silently before Sentinel spoke again. Your caution is understandable, Admiral Voss. Perhaps a demonstration would be appropriate. The crystal being made a gesture, and the screens changed to show a star system none of them recognized. This is the Procyon system, approximately 11 light-years from Earth. It contains 3 habitable worlds, currently uninhabited. The Coalition formally recognizes these worlds as within humanity's sphere of exploration and potential colonization. Ilara exchanged surprised glances with Nathaniel. That's generous. It is a beginning, Flux said. A test of your species' ability to develop new worlds responsibly, to manage resources sustainably, and to respect the environments you encounter. Your performance in the Procyon system will inform future allocations. And if we choose to explore beyond Procyon without your permission, Ilara asked directly. Collected's particles darkened. That would be unwise. The galaxy contains many dangers for which you are unprepared. Species far less benevolent than the Coalition members. Phenomena far more destructive than anything you have encountered. Is that a threat? Ilara's voice was quiet but firm. A reality, Sentinel corrected. The Coalition does not threaten, Admiral. We guide. We protect. We preserve balance. Species that cannot accept guidance often encounter difficulties they could have avoided. The tension in the command center was palpable. Earth representatives watched Ilara, waiting for her response. She could feel the weight of humanity's future resting on her words. Representatives of the Coalition, she began carefully. Humanity accepts your recognition of our rights to the Procyon system. We will explore and develop those worlds with respect for their environments and the principles of sustainability that our own experiences have taught us are essential. She paused, gathering her thoughts. However, I must be clear about something. Humanity has not survived and thrived by accepting limitations imposed by others. We value guidance, but we must chart our own course. We seek friendship with the Coalition, but as equals working toward mutual understanding, not as students awaiting approval. Nathaniel tensed beside her, clearly concerned she was pushing too far. But Ilara continued. If the Coalition truly values diversity and the unique contributions of each species, then it must accept that humanity will develop in its own way, at its own pace, according to its own values. We will make mistakes. That is inevitable. But they will be our mistakes, and we will learn from them. The three representatives were silent for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, Flux's mercury form shaped itself into what appeared to be a smile. Well spoken, Admiral Voss. Your directness is refreshing. Collective's particles swirled with new colors. It has been many cycles since a newly emerged species spoke to the Coalition with such conviction. Sentinel inclined its crystalline head. Perhaps we have become too accustomed to deference from emerging species. Your predecessors sought our approval because of our age and power. You seek partnership despite our advantages. Is that a problem? Ilara asked. On the contrary, Sentinel replied. It may be precisely what the Coalition needs at this juncture in our history. The screens changed again, showing conflicts between Coalition species, resource disputes, political factions, all the messy reality that had been suspiciously absent from the database they'd been studying. The Coalition is not without its internal challenges, Flux admitted. Consensus is increasingly difficult to achieve. Some elder races advocate for isolation, others for aggressive expansion. The balance we have maintained for millennia is shifting. Nathaniel stepped forward. You're saying the Coalition isn't as unified as you initially presented it. No complex organization of diverse beings ever achieves perfect unity. Collective's particles formed a pattern suggesting a shrug. We had hoped to shelter humanity from our internal politics until you were better established. We don't need sheltering, Ilara said firmly. We need honesty. If we're to find our place in this galactic community, we need to understand its true nature, challenges and all. Sentinel studied her for a moment, then nodded. Very well, Admiral Voss. The full Coalition database will be unlocked for your access. You will see our accomplishments and our failures, our harmony and our discord. And in return, Ilara asked, suspecting such access would come with expectations. In return, humanity will send representatives to the Coalition Council, Flux said, not as petitioners or observers, but as full participants with voting rights on matters affecting your region of space. This is unprecedented, Collective added. No species has been granted council representation so quickly after emergence, but your unique perspective may prove valuable in our current deliberations. Ilara considered the offer. It was more than she had hoped for. Immediate recognition, as equals rather than probationary status. But it would also involve humanity directly in Coalition politics before they'd fully understood the players or the stakes. I will need to consult with Earth's governing council, she said finally. This decision affects all of humanity, not just those of us at Threshold. Of course, Sentinel agreed. But know this, Admiral, your response to our initial approach has already altered the Coalition's assessment of humanity's potential role. Many among us anticipated either fearful compliance or reflexive aggression. You have demonstrated a third path, principled engagement. The three representatives prepared to depart, but Flux paused. One final matter. Admiral, the Veil technology was not originally developed for containment. In its primary application, it serves as a defensive shield against certain cosmic threats. That technology will be among the first shared with humanity, should you accept council representation. After the Coalition representatives had returned to their vessels, the command center erupted in excited discussion. Ilara moved away from the noise, finding a quiet spot by a viewport where she could gather her thoughts. Nathaniel joined her after a few minutes. You took a significant risk, challenging them like that. It wasn't a challenge, Ilara replied. It was honesty. If we'd simply accepted their terms without question, they'd have always seen us as junior partners, not equals. And now we have an opportunity to join a community of worlds beyond anything we've imagined, not as supplicants, but as contributors. She gazed out at the stars, thinking of the countless civilizations waiting to be encountered. The veil is gone, but we're still confronting barriers, Nathaniel. Barriers of understanding, of cultural difference, of competing interests. At least these barriers can be crossed through dialogue rather than requiring quantum harmonics, he said with a slight smile. Ilara nodded thoughtfully. The wall is broken. Our physical containment has ended. But in many ways, humanity's real journey is just beginning. We've taken our first steps into a much larger universe, and we have so much to learn. And to teach, Nathaniel added. Don't underestimate what humanity brings to this coalition. Our adaptability, our creativity, our determination. These aren't just survival traits. They're strengths that could benefit species far older and more advanced than our own. A message from Earth interrupted their conversation. The governing council had received their report and wanted an immediate conference. Ilara straightened her uniform, preparing to convince Earth's leaders to accept the most important diplomatic position in human history. Admiral, Nathaniel said before they rejoined the others, whatever Earth decides, you've already accomplished something remarkable today. You've ensured that humanity enters the galactic stage on its own terms. Ilara smiled briefly. Let's just hope those terms don't change when we learn more about what we're really dealing with. She cast one last look at the stars beyond threshold, no longer distant points of light, marking unreachable destinations, but beacons of possibility in a suddenly expanded universe. The wall was broken, and humanity's voyage into the uncharted had truly begun.